6, 5, 4.
Hey beauties, happy Monday, and welcome to today's episode of Candid, HB Show, where we say everything you may be thinking but are too afraid to say. And today we are getting candid about coping with loss. And I'm joined by the gorgeous Ty Alexander,
thank you.
aka Gorgeous and Gray. You guys know her. You see her beauty blogs. You see her promoting products. You see her doing everything. This fabulous hair. You know Ty Alexander. So if you have any questions, as always, beauties, please drop them in our comment section. We want to have a conversation with you as we have a conversation with Ty. So we're going to be talking about your book, Things I Wish I Knew Before My Mom Died.
Yes.
Yes. So
It's not as sad as it sounds.
okay. All right. So if you can just get into a little bit about, why you wrote the book. Yeah.
So my mom passed. Funny enough, she passed 4 years ago on April 28th,
Oh, wow.
which is just a few days ago. And when I was grieving, I just had all these questions. I had all these feelings. So I started sharing them on Instagram, on Facebook. We're social divas, so we share everything. And I realized while I was sharing that everyone was going through the same grieving process.
Oh, wow.
We all had the same questions. We were all having the same feelings. And I kind of became, the expert, if you will, of grieving, which sounds kind of crazy. And people were sending me letters and emails and just asking me all these questions about what the next steps were, different things they could do to get past the process. So I decided, kind of selfishly, so I wouldn't have to keep asking the questions.
Yeah, of course.
That I'd put them in a book for everyone to read repeatedly. And lo and behold, did I not know that I was writing a book that would help so many women, around the world. I'm still in awe at how many people I've affected by writing this book.
Wow. And that's the power of writing.
Absolutely.
I would love for you to talk a little bit about that social media aspect of it, because it became almost a public forum for grieving that you put into this book. How did social media kind of help your grieving process, would you
I
say?
think for me, I call them my internet cousins. I
cousins.
have lots of people who comment regularly and we're friends legitimately on the internet. I recognize their name, I comment, we, talk about lipstick, from lipstick to clothes to grieving. We talk about a plethora of things. So just for me, that's just who I am. I'm an oversharer. But when I thought about grieving, and especially with Black women, I felt that we don't talk about it enough.
Wow.
We don't talk about it at all. You know what I mean? Just feelings in general. So by me actually representing the Black woman and kind of talking about grieving, what it feels like, the next steps, how to kind of get over it, because you really don't get over it.
Right.
But just that feeling of you lose the person who you've always known all of your life, and you expect them to come through every experience, and they're not going to be there. What do you do with that? How do you move on? And for me, it's therapeutic. I saved tons of therapy bills by talking through it through the internet. And then also I journal a lot, so I'm able to. For me, my blog is almost like my journal. I look back at old posts, especially around the time that my mom died. I wrote a post about being depressed. I wrote a post about being depressed, and then I got some hate mail. So then I wrote another post about
Wait, you got hate mail?
Yes.
Why?
This one lady told me that I needed to, it's so silly. She told me that I needed to have Jesus water, holy water sprinkled on me, and have my demons purified and all that. It was just foolishness.
No, I'm gonna say that's really important, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month, beauties, and a lot of time, especially as a lot of us are Christian women, instead of someone recommending help for you, they're just throw Jesus on you.
Well, that's part of the reason why, as I think Black people in general, we don't share so much about our mental health problems, because when we do, the stigma of it is, oh my God, she's just crazy, or you know what I mean? It's never taken with a seriousness that it should be.
Absolutely.
And situational depression is a legit thing. It's a thing.
Yeah.
And it happens to most of us, whether it's losing a job, losing a mom. Grief happens throughout the day, all day.
Absolutely.
When you think about just the idea of what grief means, whether it's losing the last pizza,
yeah,
whatever it is.
A
boyfriend.
Yeah.
It could be so small or so big. Grief just happens to us. So I found that just by sharing it on my blog, I could also look back. And for me, that was a form of journaling. I could see my process. So one of the tips that I tell people to do is, write down your feelings and write down your thoughts, because then you're able to go back a month later, a year later, and you're able to see your process.
Right.
And it doesn't feel as bad. When you're going through it, it really does feel like the world is coming down on you.
I can only imagine.
But in the process of it, when you're documenting your feelings and you're really analyzing like what you're feeling, you can go back and say, hey, I was in the storm and now I'm out of it. And you can actually see the process.
Yeah, it's that whole like almost having an archive of your process
Absolutely.
working through
I feel like
it.
everyone should have a blog or something to actually document how they feel or their process. Because I don't think, one, we take enough time to celebrate ourselves. We don't take enough time to celebrate our successes or analyze our failures. Like, we just don't take enough time to actually live.
Right.
And you can only see that when it's laid out for you.
Absolutely, and going back and taking that
Absolutely.
kind of inventory of your life.
Absolutely.
So, you know, we're writers, so I'm sure growing up you always dreamed of having a book.
This wasn't the book I
and
dreamed
this
of
wasn't the
writing.
one, right? So, you know, in that process of, I'm going to write, the first book I'm going to come out is going to be this. You know, when tragedy strikes, you know, how did you reorientate the original book that you probably wanted to do to write this?
So, funny enough, I had shared a lot on the internet. I wrote a story. There was a beauty blogger that had committed suicide after her mother died, and we had kind of been emailing before her mother, right before her mother passed. We had been emailing back and forth and kind of texting, and I was kind of counseling her from afar, if you will.
Yeah.
And I went through a lot because I did feel slightly. I felt I could have done more. But of course, now looking back at it, I'd served my purpose for that moment. But, you know, going through it, you feel like, you know, I should have called somebody. I should have did this, that, whatever. So anyway, so I shared the story. I shared the emails. I was very candid about our conversations. So when the book publisher reached out to me, they suggested that this be the first story that I talk about.
Wow.
And actually, I'm writing a fiction book, and one of the character that I'm writing, her mother passes away. So it really aligns with the type of fiction that I want to write, which is young adult. So.
Oh, got it. So within here, what I love is that, you know, not only do you have your story, but you also have these affirmations after every chapter. Can you write about why it was important for you to include that?
Funny enough, I included those for the lazy reader.
Okay.
I think sometimes we flip through books, we get into, and then we stop. They're colorful pages. They're bordered in like the signature color of the book, and it makes you stop and look. So when you go back and you find those pages and you read those affirmations, it can trigger something. You might want to go back to it. And I also included it so like as a kind of notebook conversation.
Yeah.
Like this book I wrote now, I know is meant to be passed around. It's meant to be read.
It's shared reading.
It's
community
shareable.
book.
Absolutely. It's a community book. Good word.
Yeah.
Good. So those things are meant to have someone write a note in, kind of remind themselves of, you know, why they're in that moment at that time, you know, all that. Kind of just affirmations, but still kind of self-care, if you will.
Got it. So some woman who receives this book today and who may be looking at this, can you just speak to her about the process of grieving and, you know, the different stages you may go through as well?
Grieving is something, when you lose a parent, I'll say this, when you lose a parent, a mother especially, you will forever be affected. When we think about the experiences that we have, like I'm getting married and none of my process includes my mother. So you're not gonna make me cry today.
No,
Kara.
I'm not gonna make you cry.
Like, you're not gonna do this today.
I'm not gonna do it today. I'm not gonna make her cry.
But when you think about the experiences that you have to go through without your parent, like nothing will fix that. Like I have lots of people who are around me who love me, but nothing changes that. You know what I mean? So I want this book to be a reminder that this is now your new normal. This is your new reality. And once you figure out that that's your new normal, this is your new reality, you can maneuver about appropriately. You know what I mean? Like you can't, if you go through life thinking that you're tall and you're not, imagine what life would be. Do you know what I mean? Like it's just that simple. Like this is your reality and this is what you have to deal with every single day. Like some moments I have great days, some moments I don't. And I talked about it the other day on my Facebook page, some real vocal my Facebook page. Some days I'm not okay. Like period.
That is so
like
just that sentence alone is so important for Black women to hear.
I literally wake up and I'm not okay. Like nothing, and I don't know. And more importantly, I don't know why I'm not okay. Like all I know is that my mom's not here. I miss her, and this is what I need in this moment. You know what I mean? And it's like I think for so long, especially Black women, we're taught to be, you know, the strong Black woman. I don't need nobody. I'm independent. You need everybody.
You need everybody. And you know, I talk about the strong Black woman narrative a lot because a lot of times times, you know, when we were growing up, it was made us to feel like, okay, yeah, I can do anything, I can take on anything. And then as you got older, being a strong Black woman almost became a burden.
But being a strong Black woman also means that you are strong enough to know when you need to be vulnerable. You are strong enough to know when you need to ask for help, when you need to go get help, when you need a hug, when you need a kiss, when you need time out, when you need to log off. Like, strong enough means that to know that you're not okay.
Yes, that transparency in itself is strength. I'm going to take a couple comments from the audience. Tanya said, my mother went to God on February 5th.
I love that, went to God. I usually say my mom went to heaven. It sounds much better than, I hate the word, you know, my mom passed, my mom's dead. So I started saying my mom went to heaven.
My mom went to heaven. My mom went to God February 5th. I miss her so much. Don't know how I'm going to make it through Mother's Day. That's actually a good shift for us because, you know, a lot of people talk about these big pivotal holidays and they're not talking about people who are grieving through them or hurting with them. And it might not even be the loss of a parent. It could be you just don't have a good relationship with the parent. So can you talk about how you're in preparation for Mother's Day? And
so for me, because I am an internet junkie, I log off. Like, I completely unplug because the internet will constantly remind you that other people have that mothers. And that's just a hard place to be in. There's no way to get around it. So I log off. I'll say my obligatory Happy Mother's Day. I miss my mom, and I log off. And then I go spend the day with the people that are who are still here, who still love me. Because a lot of times when we are grieving, we forget to live. We forget that there are still people here who love us.
Absolutely.
You know, the world, unfortunately, I wish the world did stop when my mom died, but it didn't.
Right.
Which then means that I have to continue to love. I have to continue to love the people who still love me.
Absolutely. Take another question. Tracy says, I don't know how I'm going to make it. That's why I see someone for depression because of the loss of my mom. It's very hard. Tracy, I'm so glad that you're seeing someone for your depression because for a lot of women, this is a taboo topic to even be seeing somebody clinically or a psychologist.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll say that therapy actually does work, but I'm a self-care advocate, so I think that after you go through therapy and you learn those tips, there still are things that you need to do as far as self-care to maintain that. Like being a habitual person who goes to therapy every Thursday isn't really solving anything in my eyes.
Okay.
Like, I feel like when you go to therapy, you should be learning and kind of learn how to take care of yourself.
I agree. Yeah, so you need tools to take outside.
You need
of
those
the room.
tools to take outside of the rooms to be active. I think a part of therapy, some people get like a crutch almost.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and they forget to do their work because after you leave therapy, you still need to do the work.
Yeah. What are some work that you were doing?
For me, I journal habitually every day. I wake up, I say 3 things: what I'm thankful for, what makes me happy, and what makes me sad. And the last thing is what makes me sad, because by the time I get to what makes me sad, there shouldn't be that many, because I've listed what I'm thankful and what I'm grateful for and the successes that I've had before that. So by the time I get to being sad, I should have already been reminded. And sometimes the sad usually is just my mom died. Like, that's just a given. Like, I'm going to be sad unfortunately for the rest of my life that my mom died. Like, that's again my reality. But I think that when you journal and you practice gratitude, like practicing gratitude and learning that gratitude, one, is separate from your life circumstances. Like, just because my mom died doesn't mean that I'm not joyful or that I can't be happy or that I can't choose to be happy. Wow. I think a large part of situational depression is choosing the other side to be grieving.
Oh, I got it.
You know what I mean? Like, every day I wake up, I choose to be happy. Like, this is my choice.
Right.
And when I don't choose to be happy, I can feel the entire difference in my day, you know?
I do. And, you know, even those days where it's like I wake up and I'm sad, even just admitting that. Because I think a lot of us,
admitting that you're sad and then saying, okay, I'm sad, and this is how I get over it.
Yeah.
These are the things that are going to help me get through this day. And also knowing that it's one day at a time.
One day at a time.
I'm going to get up today on
Not
May
a
1st.
year.
Not a year. Not a week.
Not a
I'm
month.
going to get up today on Monday, May 1st. And my affirmation today is that I am great. I am happy. I will succeed.
I love that.
Period.
Yeah. And
that's
all of
it.
that repeated. It's
Repeated.
like beautiful words on repeat. Like,
absolutely.
In order to live it, you have to be speaking it.
First you have to think it, then you have to speak it. And once you do all that, you will begin to believe it. Like, even when I think about my career and the things I thought I couldn't do, like, I never thought I would be writing a book.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't ever like, I mean, I said it, but it wasn't like really in my cards. Like, it wasn't a goal that I was like working towards.
Right.
But when you say it enough, like, oh, I'm gonna write a book. Yeah, I'm gonna write a book one day.
Yeah.
And
then she wrote a book. I love that. So just going back to the book, what is one big takeaway that you would want women and men who get their hands on this? What is one thing that you would want them to take away from this?
The most important thing I think I preach all the time is to admit to yourself, first and foremost, that you're not okay.
So important.
And that through admitting to yourself that you're not okay, no one should shame you. And you, more importantly, because the guilt that comes with a parent dying and then you moving on. Like when I talk in the book a lot about my family and how, like, you know, I'm in New York and I'm living life, and I wouldn't say I moved on, but I definitely, through grieving, I worked really hard. Like that was me masking my grief in the beginning, which allotted me lots of successes. And to the outside world, it appears as if, oh, she's just moved on. She doesn't care about her mom. Yeah. And that's farther from the truth. But when you think, you have to live.
You do. And you put here, coping with loss every day.
Single day.
Yeah,
every day.
It's not just in that
not a
brief
moment.
time.
And one, you'll be okay, and two, one, admitting that you're not okay, and two, knowing that you will be grieving for the rest of your life. It's not a process that you get over. It is definitely a marathon that you will keep running and running and running. And honor that. Like, for me, it would be foolish for me not to be sad because my mom is not here.
Right.
Like to think about like how I would honor her memory. I'm supposed to be sad. She's not here. I'm supposed to feel some type of way. There's an absence of her not being here. Like what kind of human would I be if I didn't feel anything?
Yeah.
If I said, oh, you know, she's okay. Like, you know what I mean? Like it wouldn't make sense to me.
Right.
So those are the takeaways. One, you're not okay, and it's okay to say that. And two, live your life.
Live your life, and don't feel guilty about living your life.
Don't feel guilty about it.
Ty, please tell them where they can get this book, where they can follow you. I'm sure you're already following her. I follow her every day. But please tell them where they can buy your book.
You can get it everywhere. If you're an online junkie like myself, it is on sale at Amazon. You can also go to Barnes & Noble's. Any brick and mortar store will have this book if they don't tell them about themselves.
Tell them, because I'm going to tell them. And also, where can they follow you?
Oh, everywhere. Gorgeous in Gray. I'm internet. Wherever.
Website,
everywhere.
Instagram,
everywhere.
Facebook,
everywhere.
everything.
Everywhere but Tumblr. We ain't fooling.
We're no Tumblr. But everything else. I want to thank you so much again for doing that. And
thank you for having me.
Just when you were saying like running this marathon of grief almost, I feel like now you are a good partner for the world and for anyone who's going through someone, like they're running with you.
Yes, they're running with me.
Because you've put this
and
out here.
Like at the end of the day, like, and I keep going back to it, like I'm a selfish person. Like my mother would tell you if she were here today that I'm very selfish. So everything that I do is rooted in my own self-care. Like I need them to help me in this journey. Yeah. I wrote this book so you could help me. Like we're in this together.
Yes.
You know, and duh, I'm helping you also. But it feels so much better when you're going through something and you're not alone.
Yeah. One of my favorites, Tracy G. She always
I love
says,
her.
You're my partner in progress.
It's
what
funny.
She says. Yeah.
Quick story. Funny enough, I was going to an event and I didn't know Tracy was going to be there. Yeah. And Tracy's outside standing next to someone who had lost her father. And she's telling her, and mind you, I'm blocks away. So she's, you know, coping with her or whatever, and she's telling her about this lady that wrote this book and that she needs to meet me. And
then you just
I
came
walk
up?
Around the corner.
Look at that.
Look at God.
Look at God. Always. Look at God.
Won't he do it?
Won't he do it? He always does it. So beauties, again, as you know, this is Mental Health Awareness Month is May, and so we really want to tell your story. So please continue to drop any questions, comments in the comment section below. I know Ty is going to take a look and respond to anything that she sees. And again, thank you, beauties, for watching. See you later. Bye. Get this book.